Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We start off again with another great animation here from our GO 16 infrared satellite channel, and it shows a couple of important things we're going to be watching throughout the day today. You can see the storms that went racing through parts of Texas yesterday, some of them producing some very strong winds and some very large hail, and then of course the storms that were moving through parts, this section of the Corn Belt, getting into parts of Missouri, right there. Now, why we're going to watch this most carefully is because the remnants of these storms will be pressing toward the lower Mississippi River Valley today, and it's going to increase the severity of the threat later on this afternoon, which you'll see in just a few moments here. So the outflow of these storms will be eventually moving in and serving as the trigger mechanism for more storms later today in parts of Arkansas. Now, the second thing we're going to watch is the broad shield of clouds that's coming in out of the very southern edge of this image. This is the beginnings of Tropical Storm Cristobal. And so we can see here, Florida, we've had quite a bit of cloud cover and rainfall out of this, and we are nowhere near done yet. So let's get the latest on Cristobal. So this is in the background, the 0Z model run from the ECMWF. So we are still 3 days away before this gets up even close to New Orleans, and about 5 days away before it moves through, parts of Louisiana, Arkansas, up into Missouri and Illinois. And so the map in the background there, the European has been extremely steady with its forecast. If you've been watching my videos this week, you'll notice that it hasn't really changed too much here. What's been interesting is how long Cristobal has just stayed over parts of the Yucatan Peninsula, dropping enormous amounts of rainfall. Now, while the National Hurricane Center is not currently forecasting Cristobal to achieve hurricane strength, remember the conditions in the Gulf of Mexico are ripe, so we got plenty of warm water, and the potential is there. We just have to watch what the wind shear environment looks like around Cristobal as it moves north. But the National Hurricane Center has really settled in on the track that you see over there in the embedded figure, and they've been steady with that for the last several days here. So we'll take a look at the timing in just a few moments, but I wanted to show you a switch in the background map. That's the new new GFS model. Very interesting to see it wanting to bring it a little bit farther to the east before cutting it hard west, right back into the same potential location that the European does. So remember, if I just go back and forth, you can see the differences here. While they may appear subtle, they're going to be significant for who gets the flooding rains. We're going to take a look at that in just a few moments. But in terms of timing, I'm going to stick with what the National Hurricane Center has for this. You can see possibly a late Saturday evening arrival of some tropical storm force winds for example, the very southern parishes of Louisiana, and then by early in the morning on Sunday, those reaching just north of New Orleans. So we still have a few more days, the whole weekend, before we really start to see the effects of this getting into the lower Mississippi River Valley here. Okay, so that's the latest times here. And again, these times, as it says down here, are Central Daylight Time, so keep that in mind. All right, over the last 72 hours, we've had a lot of hit-or-miss thunderstorms across our southern region. Some places have missed out on this rain entirely, and other locations have seen storms putting down 2 to 3+ inches of rain. And so this is the nature of the early moisture movement to the north of this system producing these scattered thunderstorms. Missouri, which is at the very northern edge of our southern region here, some locally extremely heavy rain moving through that region. And again, we're going to be watching for the storms to fire up again in this area later on today. But to give you the next week's worth of total accumulated precipitation, this is coming from the WPC, we do notice that possible rainfall amounts down in this area could range from the 5 to maybe upwards of 10 inches out of this. We have a broad swath in here of better than 1.5 inches that comes up right into Arkansas, Missouri after passing through Louisiana and Mississippi. Florida, we're going to be adding quite a bit more rainfall to this, but notice how dry things are expected over here in parts of Texas. And overall, less than 1/2 inch of rainfall, unless you're in the Appalachian Mountains, seems to be less than about 3/4 of an inch over in the Carolinas and parts of Georgia out of this next week or so. But I want to focus in and give you a little bit better representation of this from our models. So I brought here the European zoomed in, and we can see that the model right now is calling for some high rainfall totals in southern Mississippi, very southern Alabama, and getting over into Louisiana with rainfall amounts between 3 and 7 inches in that area. You can also see how the heavier thunderstorm activity could be moving into parts of Georgia and Florida as well, but the main track, according to the European of this, is going to bring it right through Arkansas and into Mississippi. Mississippi, Arkansas, and into Missouri. So thinking about that, let's now take that drawing off there and flip right over to the GFS. There are some similarities as I go back and forth, but I think the most striking difference is going to be how much rainfall the GFS brings into parts of Alabama and Georgia here versus what the European was doing. So both models, I think, have a pretty good handle on this being the eventual track of this system, really kind of coming right in through here. But we need to keep an eye out to the east of there, where most of that moisture will be advected or moved. So one last thing to show you about this precipitation coming from Cristobal. We do notice how dry things are compared to normal on both sides of it. And I want to talk about Texas specifically because with the high heat we do have coming through here, we got several more days of intense heat. I may have to change my color bar here because on my 7-day total evaporation map, we've gone over 3 inches of evaporation here in the Panhandle. So irrigation efforts are going to be high through parts of Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas with this system, while cloud cover and rainfall is going to keep the evaporation rates very low over parts of the southeast. Okay, severe weather over the last 48 hours. We've seen a lot of it, especially yesterday, right into those storms you saw earlier, racing through parts of Oklahoma and Texas. Big time hail coming out of some of these and some very strong straight line winds. Well, as we move forward, I'm going to show you kind of a 6-panel map here, and I hope things are clear in this. Today, remember, we're going to be watching this section of Missouri and Arkansas. Outflow of those storms coming through that area later today into tonight. After that, the severe weather threat really shifts north. We're going to be seeing the high plains get it on Saturday and again on Sunday. But then on Sunday, you can see the risk for the stronger thunderstorms emerges here as Cristobal nears. Now take a look at the 3 maps below it. It's midday max wind speeds for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so what we notice is that overall today, winds are not strong unless we're in thunderstorm activity. But you can see the stronger winds arriving by Saturday afternoon here. Not yet tropical storm force, but getting there. And then by Sunday, the system does kind of lose some of its strength, of course, as it makes landfall, but still some stronger winds anticipated. But look back here over parts of the southwest and getting over into Texas. We're going to be seeing very strong winds in addition to the high heat, and that is what's really cranking up those evaporation rates here over the next few days. So let's go straight to our European model and watch things unfold here. Let's get playing and step you back and show you some of the main features. So throughout the day today, remember, we're going to watch this area late this afternoon and this evening for some strong to severe thunderstorms right in through here. Meanwhile, to the east of that, widely scattered storm seems to be the name of the game. Working our way into the overnight hours, possibly some stuff moving through parts of Missouri, as you can see there. And that possibly gets here by early Saturday morning. But we will start to see Cristobal getting into the central Gulf of Mexico by the time we get into Saturday afternoon and evening. Now at that point, I'm anticipating the outer rain bands to be getting into Florida and right here along the Gulf shores getting over toward Louisiana. And as we move into Sunday morning, afternoon, and evening, that will be the time period where we see the main precipitation threat increase across Louisiana and Mississippi. So from here forward, let's just see how the operational European takes this. So this is now getting into Monday morning, afternoon, and evening. And then let's go ahead and work our way into Tuesday morning, afternoon, and evening. So we saw here that it's going to take from Sunday through Tuesday night to get the system up into Illinois. And so during that time period, multi-day rainfall event in through here, okay? As we press on past next Tuesday, getting out into Wednesday, what's interesting is that the low that was Cristobal gets wrapped up into an upper level trough. That brings in cooler air, and I'm going to show you that in a few minutes, but it lines it up right here with a strong frontal boundary. I mean, it's mid-June here. We don't usually see strong frontal boundaries like this, but that's going to increase our chances for strong thunderstorms in through this area, right in through here in Mid-South, getting all the way down to the Gulf Coast. So that's Wednesday night, getting in now into Thursday morning, afternoon, and evening. Now after this, just let me play this for you. Going out to next weekend and beyond, high pressure is dominating, and week 2 is looking relatively dry, and I'll show you that in just a few moments. But here's how we get to day 10. Trough west, big ridge building up in the midsection of the country here, and a trough east. So we start to see there as this is a pattern where unsettled weather is in the Pacific Northwest. Heat rebuilds in the central part of the United States, but the southeast stays cooler and drier, and we can see that here by looking at the week 2 European model. The GFS is now finally in agreement with the European on this pattern, but we do certainly see, as you can tell here, some drier conditions showing up in our southern region. To finish this up, let's talk temperatures and do a little long range, and we'll wrap it up for you. So this is Friday's high temperatures, another scorcher here in parts of the south central plains, and only cloud cover keeping temperatures down in Florida. Playing this forward, watch how things change as we get into the day on Saturday. Still major heat midsection of the country right in through here. Let's go from Saturday over to Sunday, another day of it. But this is where the outer rain bands of Cristobal are now making their way into the southeast, and temperatures go back over cool. When does that heat break? Well, it's not Monday, although the cloud cover here keeps us cool, but I'm talking about this area. You can see the cool weather that's arrived out west. And here it is on Tuesday, finally, getting out of the upper 90s, lower 100s, back over to the low to mid 80s, although it's still extremely hot in southern Texas. And unfortunately, that extreme heat in southern Texas doesn't let go. So you can see it's still saying triple digits down here as we work our way all the way out to next Thursday. Beyond that, what about the 6 to 10 day forecast? Still near average to above average in through this area, but cooler across the rest of the southeast. Both models really picking up on that. But if one place stays hot, it's going to be south central Texas as we move forward. And in the 6 to 10 day, 11 to 15 day, now we really start to see the heat rebounding here. Maybe some cooler anomalies, but remember the pattern was doing this, right? So the heat comes back in the central plains here, but the southeast could possibly hang on to a few more days of cooler weather. Last thing I want to show you, this is the new outlook for June 15th through July 15th. Interestingly enough, the highest heat is being projected to stay out west, but overall, much of the rest of the country is seeing near average to above average temperatures. The precipitation pattern I found to be quite interesting because it's wet from parts of the Ozarks, mid-south, right in through here, but dry along the coast. So how we get the moisture into this area without bringing it through the coast first is a little bit confusing to me. So I do believe we're going to be seeing some stronger thunderstorm activity racing into the coast here with time. But we'll keep a close eye on this upcoming precipitation pattern. Certainly inside of that area to the south and east of that, we don't see major cause to say that this is all going to be hot and dry. In fact, it looks like a hot and wet summer setting up for that area. So I'll give you that update here. I'll analyze it over the weekend, and we'll look forward to getting our brand new, very long range updates. The European monthlies should be coming out later today, and we'll be talking about those in next week's video. So have a good weekend. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.